Alright, yeah, welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today is Brawl's Day, so we're going to be jumping into the standard Brawl queues with a list I think we've only ever played in Historic Brawl, but it was a very competitive list when we played it. We're going to be playing some blue-white Yorion today. This list, I feel, is quite well positioned in the format right now, aka only a Seeker and Ashiok exists, so we'll see what happens there. So we're going to be trying to tech a little bit against the Asika lists, because I think that deck basically invalidates any commander that doesn't have enchantment removal just written deep into its code. So fortunately, we do. With a Yorion list, we've got Elspeth Conquers Death to exile permanents with 3 or greater. We've got Banishing Lights, which we can hit our opponent's prismatic bridges, and the new commander replacement rule, whatever you want to call it, states that if Prismatic Bridge goes under the Banishing Light, they can choose to remove it from under there and put it back in their command zone, which basically means Yorion can flicker it again to reuse it, so that's pretty nice there. And we've got some counter magic as well to counter it on the way down. This is essentially a blue-white control list with Yorion back as a flicker commander. Let's get into what he does for those who have not been playing any magic whatsoever. It's the only way you can avoid this card, honestly. 5 mana 4/5 with flying. When it enters the battlefield, you exile any number of other non-land permanents you own and control. Return those cards to the battlefield at the beginning of the next end step. So essentially, we can reset Elspeth Conquers Deaths, we can reset Banishing Lights. We have a nice little flicker combo with Charming Prince as well. So we can flicker Charming Prince, and when he comes back, he also has exile another target creature you own, return it to the battlefield under your control at the beginning of the next end step. So when he returns on end step, we flicker the Yorion, and then on our opponent's end step, Yorion comes back, which we use to flicker the Charming Prince, and then that's basically an infinite loop of flickers every single turn cycle, which is really quite nice. As I said, this is blue-white control, so we have the usual suspects in here for winning games. We've got Kiora Best of Sea God, a 7-mana saga. Makes you an 8/8, taps all non-land permanents on the Chapter 2, from your opponent's side anyway. And then the Chapter 3 gains control of target permanent opponent controls, and then untaps it for some reason. For some reason you get to untap it, but there you go. Amiria's Call makes 2 4/4 white angel creature tokens and gives non-angels indestructible, so a little bit of board white protection there. Dream Trawler, a 6 mana 3/5 with flying and lifelink, and whenever you draw a card it gets +1/+0, and then when it attacks you get to draw a card, and then you can also discard a card to give it hexproof until the end of the turn, but that does tap it down, so it basically protects itself. Stupid design, but you know, it's either I run this or I run Ugin the Spirit Dragon. Ugin should probably be in here if you really want to ruin the format, but I can't bring myself to ruin the format, so here we are. We got Teferi, Master of Time. There's a little bit of a draw and discard thing. You can activate him on either turn as well. Resetting him can be quite nice, because sometimes you do have to use the phase out ability, so it'll be nice and low on loyalty at a certain time, so it's nice to reset him. And then some board wipes. We've got Shatter the Sky and Doomscar from Kaldheim, which we can foretell. So it's a 3 mana board wipe. Very nice against the aggro decks. Finally, as I mentioned, we do have counter magic. We've got Dwari's Disruptions, Negates, Essence Scatters, Disdainful Strokes, and Saw It Comings. I think that's really about it as far as counter magic is concerned. So not too heavy on the counter magic. Just enough, though, to keep one in hand whenever we need it to get rid of those big powerful spells. Pretty much everything can be used to get rid of the Asika as well, so that's quite nice. I don't know if I talked about Weathered Runestone in here. This is in here purely for the Asika matchup, since it is going to be 95% of our matchups anyway, because Brawl is ruined and Wizards refuses to fix it by banning Asika. We got to do something about it, which is play very, very useless cards in other matchups, but good in that singular matchup. Weathered Runestone. Non-land permanents in graveyards and libraries can't enter the battlefield. That basically invalidates the Prismatic Bridge altogether. Also stops your opponents from casting spells from graveyards and libraries. 2 things that I don't believe, to the best of my knowledge, we actually do in this deck. So we don't have to really worry about that at all. And yeah, hopefully this will just hose Prismatic Bridge for long enough for us to tempo our opponent out and win the game. If you do enjoy the content anyway, guys, though, it would really, really help out the channel a great deal if you do hit that like button and subscribe. And let's get to it, shall we? Enjoy. This video is brought to you by the generous support of our wonderful patrons and channel members that you see here. If you'd like to support the channel and get access to cool content like sneak peeks, bonus videos, polls on future content, or access to a personal deck critique from myself every month, then hit the join button down below, or check out the Patreon link in the description. With all that said, let's get into the gameplay. Oh boy, we're in, and we're up against Zareth-san the Trickster. Don't know how well this one's going to go, actually. But it's going to be pretty dirtly in the early game, most likely, so I can take a slow hand that looks like this, I think, because then I can just Faith Svetters up the Zareth-san or Banishing Light him, whichever one I want to do. I could even throw a Shark in the way to stop him getting that combat damage trigger in. Speaking of, Zareth-san the Trickster, 5 mana Dimir 4/4. It has Flash, and you can return a unblocked attacking rogue you control to its owner's hand to put Zareth-san from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. However, it's not in their hand, so they can't do that. Whenever Zareth-san deals combat damage to a player, you may put a target permanent card from that player's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. So we're just going to lead off with our basics for now. We don't know what side we want to put the pathway on necessarily right now. I imagine we've got a lot more double whites and double blues, but counter magic is a thing and all, so who knows. So they're going to crack. They're not really going to play anything except for a Thieves Guild Enforcer, so I think I'm pretty safe to just drop down my Arcane Signet here. No Dwari's Disruption to care about either. And the Mana Rocks are going to allow me to have a nice cheap Yorion as well when the time comes, so that's going to be quite nice. Fetches a black, grabs a blue. Alright, I think we're going to put this on blue. It's just a really nice colour to have. Let's go with... I want to hold up and negate, though I don't think anything they flash in here is really going to be negatable, but... I think my main concern, which is something I can't really do too much about unless I get really dirtly, is that they flash in a creature here, play land, and then flash in Zareth-san. There isn't anything in the graveyard yet, though, so I don't have to concern myself too much with that. So I think I'll just go with the golden egg here, and make sure that I have my land drops every single turn. Okay. I guess actually, no, I'm misreading the thing that I've already said they can't do, which is they can't use this 4-mana ability, because it's in the command zone. Sometimes, chat, you get sidetracked. Alright, I think I'm just going to go with the Midnight Clock here, get that ticking. Our opponent just has no counter magic whatsoever, which is very strange. It makes me wonder what they're actually spending their time holding up. Lands, maybe? I honestly would love to be a fly on the wall in their room right now and see what they're holding in hand, because they pass the turn all the way up the clock. I'm going to keep this one in here because I find it mostly amusing, if not a bit uneventful. What on earth was their hand where on turn 4 they had nothing to counteract what I was doing? It has to just be lands. It really does. Maybe they're jam-packed full of creature removal, actually. I could see that being the case. Maybe they're playing a Dimir control list, and they don't have counters, but they certainly have removal. Again, that would also make sense why they, on Fable Passage on 2, grabbed another Swamp, because maybe they got a Murderous Rider in hand there. And they obviously don't want to play the creature side of it, so they want to try and Swift End something. But I'm never really going to play into that. As long as I get to make my land drops, I'm fine, and my position is definitely better than theirs. So in a control standpoint... we might be down on cards. They're on 7, we're on 5. But we have the card advantage and the better board state as well, because we can force through Yorion with card draw. We've got a new draw 7 here as well. And, you know, our hand is actually built to beat whatever they play. Like, if they slam down turn 5 Ashiok, we just Banish Light it, or Faith Svetters it. One of those. Or even negate it on the way down, so they have to fight through counter magic, which we know they don't have. So they're in a horrible position anyway, so... Pretty good. Alright, it's not exactly the best first win, but it's the first win, alright. So let's go to the next game. Alright, opponent goes first, which makes this Dwari's Disruption a little less useful, but we're going to keep this hand nonetheless. Yeah, we're going to be pretty slow, honestly, but maybe our opponent will too. Ooh, look at these sleeves. Sweet. Let's go with Gates of Istvel. We can't hold up a 1-mana play, so let's get our tap land out the way right now. Hope our opponent doesn't play anything here. If they don't, then that means we can slap down a Dry's Disruption. Okay, they got the Arcane Signet. And they're just passing. We're going to do the same, because we want to be able to try and at least counter unless they pay one. You never know what they might play, like a 4-drop if they've got the blue Sanctum. Kenrith, the Return King, is usually Sanctums. Otherwise, you just go with... Ooh, look, there you go. You end up going with a Seeker instead. So we got rid of their extra land drops, which is kind of nice. Kenrith, Return King, 5-mana, 5/5. It's got multiple different modes on it. You can give haste with red, counters with green, life with white, card draw with blue, and reanimation with black. We're just going to go... Let me just full control, so it makes it look like we've got something we could do with our mana, and we're choosing not to. Really important technique is to pretend that you have things that you don't have, so your opponent is more inclined to play around them. We're going to say, that's okay, opponent. You can have that. Our hand's not looking like it's too impressive right now, to be completely honest. Our opponent's got full fixed mana, so... If they're playing Planeswalkers, then we can at least lock them out and then use Mirror Maid to lock out the next one. Sanctums, on the other hand, doesn't really have an application, and definitely drawing more lands is not really where we want to be. I think I just need to pass the turn and, again, pretend that I've got options that I don't. I should have played Crawling Barrens here. I've just realised I've got exactly enough to activate it after I do nothing with my turn. So that's a punt. Hopefully not a punishable punt. There's Kenny. And Kenny gains haste, most likely, and then we'll lock him down, I guess, with Face Fetters. Yeah, and a counter, maybe? For the full tap out. Yeah, totally fine with this. Alright. Take 6, gain 4 back. And lock him down. I need some good draws, though, because these are not it. Again, though, as long as that Face Fetters remains on the board, Mirror Maid is at least a removal tool. Can't activate Kenrith because of Face Fetters. Can -4, I suppose. That would be really awkward and perfectly counter my Mirror Maid. Ugin the Game Ruiner. Back at it again. Why is this card not banned? I know the answer, it's because wizards don't care. Oh, wow. Okay, so we're flooded. We can only put 2 counters on Crawling Barrens, so that punt from earlier is actually going to lose me the game. Unfortunate. Yeah, I mean... There's really nothing I can do at this point. I guess I'll just play Yorion out. And hope for the best. At least Ugin can't bolt him. Still don't even have counter magic open either, so if our opponent has straight up removal for Yorion, I can do nothing. Our hand is just not shaped out perfectly at all. But, you know, our opponent had Ugin, so no matter what we did, it was going to get undone by this point anyway. That's how Ugin works and ruins games. Not going to beat around the bush. This card is not good for Brawl. And I think no one would disagree with me. Unless they're insane. There you go. I've just invalidated your argument, person who disagrees with me. You're insane. There you go. I don't appreciate any single card in Magic the Gathering that just invalidates everything you've done up until that point, which is exactly what Ugin's Minus does. I remember when it was first printed, I was fine with it, because it had been in Standard before, and I didn't remember it being a problem. At the same time, I didn't actually play Standard back then, so I didn't have to get into the filth and muck to see whether or not that was actually the case. But he seemed fine back then. Like, it's an 8 mana thing. You would think on turn 8 someone should be winning, therefore the minus is fine, but I think the reality is that on 8, this minus doesn't win you the game, it wins you the game on turn 15 instead. So it's just slow and painful. Like our opponent's turn here. Extremely slow and painful. Yeah, man. I just want to see what our top deck is, honestly. Like, if we have a Banishing Light, then there's maybe some hope for us in this matchup, but... Alright, well, there's my Ugin answer gone. I'll see if I draw a land next turn, and if I do, then I'll scoop it up. That's pretty much whenever I've needed a card, it's been a land, so... Yep. Draw 3, sure. Opponent refills. 5 color commanders, everyone. It's a charming prince. Alright, well, we do get to see what we would have drawn before we leave. Bad card, bad card. Pretty much, I think it was set in stone that we were going to lose this one. Then let's see what we would have drawn after that. Cards I actually needed. Okay. Right, well, let's go to the next game. That was actually, what's the word for that? That I can say on YouTube without getting demonetized. Nightmare fuel? Complete and utter disappointment? Somewhere up there, anyway. Next game. You go first. We have Jawari's Disruption on 2. And I think that's all we really need. That's all we really need. I mean, if we don't think we're going to need it, we can go with like Confounding Conundrum or Maze Mind Tome, to be honest. I'm probably not going to need it. What are they going to do? Except for holding their own Confounding Conundrums. I'm going to go with Maze Mind Tome, because it's a card draw engine that allows me to still hold up and Jawari's Disruption. So we can end step draw and try and make our land drops and whatnot. So that is likely a card... not a card draw spell. It's a counter spell, most likely. It could be both, actually. That's a tap land. Tap lands are fine. Yeah. I'd much rather make my land drop than risk not having it. At least this way I can draw a card or I can Disruption. If I bottomed and didn't hit a land, I'm basically doing all of that, but without the card draw. Oh, without the land drop, sorry. My words today, they are getting jumbled up, I'll say the least. Alright, so probably counter magic. If I went with Midnight Clock, I wouldn't be able to hold up in Disruption for the following turn. So let's go with a Confounding Conundrum instead. Gives me Disruption / Disdainful Stroke. And I don't care if it gets countered or not. There's a land drop. Lovely. We are missing our second white source, but we don't really need it all that much. Let's let that Omen resolve. Our opponent's commander, by the way, is Thrix the Sudden Storm. 5 mana, 4/5 with flash and flying. Spells you cast with converted mana cost 5 or greater, cost 1 less to cast, and can't be countered. So I imagine our opponent's actually just playing a mono blue tempo deck of sorts. But we're kind of tech to not care about that so much. And I get to keep drawing cards with Maze Mind Tome for as long as Thrix can't be flashed in. Alright, we found our Castle Ardenvale, our double white. I think what I want to do is go with the Island Midnight Clock. Eat a counterspell from our opponent, most likely. But I won't fight over it. A null, wow. This is what mono blue has to do when they have no good cards. I say that and I'm gonna lose to this deck. I'm just pointing that out. Think they're thinking about Field of Ruining me? Alright. Offering up a untapped land for me. Wonderful. Does that change anything for me? I can't float mana, so... let's just go grab a Plains that we were missing, which means this Arden Vale's now untapped. Absolutely no reason to do that. They're thinning the deck, but also what they're doing is opening up the possibility of me having a 3-mana counterspell that I can now use. And I'm not going to use my Tome, because there's a chance I can reset it with Yorion, as well as if I tapped out there, they can flash in Thrix, and we don't want that either. So let's play you. And we're just going to keep playing cards that allow me to hold up and Stroke and Disruption here. It's telegraphing extremely hard that I have counter magic. So if they've noticed, then obviously the effectiveness is only as good as making our opponent play around them, which in this case means they have to play their Thrix with counter magic backup. It's going to be a mana advantage and a card advantage race, essentially, if the control mirror is anything to go by. So my card advantage currently lies in my board state, which is thinning lands, drawing cards with Tome, and going Confounding Conundrum for a redraw of Yorion. Teferi's Tutelage, that is a big problem. Alright. Our opponent now has the advantage, because they have a threat in play that I have no answers for. That being said, we can potentially resolve something into 3 mana here. Do I want to crack my Maze Mind Tome now, knowing that I have to act? I would love to get a negate. A negate would be absolutely fantastic, or a Saw It Coming as well would be okay. It's better than having Yorion just straight up countered, so... let's go for it. It's getting a little bit of life here. Lose our Tome at the cost of an extra card. There we go. So really what I want here is to slam Dream Trawler, but I'm 1 mana short of a Saw It Coming. So let's swing for 2. Then let's play Yorion. I think I'm happy fighting over this. Convolute. Counter unless you pay 4. Well, you counter unless you pay 1. How about that? I'm far more reasonable. Alright, threats in play. Our opponent gets to resolve something. I should get to respond to it reasonably, though. Let's add more blue. Yep. Yep. So my deck's got far more answers to permanents in play. We do have a Doomscar. We can reset the board off of a Thrix. Our opponent's main problem, and they had a Saw It Coming. It's nice to know that it shows you what they had in the Fatale Zone. So I think we did call it was counter magic. Said it could have been card draw, but I thought it was going to be a counter, which it was. Yeah, blues can only really counter or bounce, so if anything resolves, they need to find bounce spells or put a permanent in play, so... their entire turn's probably just set up playing a Thrix, and that's not going to do much for them. And yeah, I'm just hitting them for 6 a turn at that point. We've got Saw It Coming and Disdainful Stroke as well as backup to resolve a Dream Trawler. Once Dream Trawler is in play, this game is a lock. I don't think there's any mass bounce anymore, right? From Mono Blue. Yeah, there's no River's Rebukes or anything like that, I don't think. Not in Standard anyway. Pretty cool though. Nice game. Alright, we go first. We have Skyclave Apparition with Flicker of Fate, and we can also do some Omen of the Sea shenanigans. We do really want to see enchantment removal, but I suppose what we could do is we can flicker the Omen with the Flicker. And then maybe that'll be okay. We've even got a Scry here. Our opponent's playing the card that should be banned any day now, but probably won't because nobody at Wizards actually plays Brawl, so there's nobody there to actually say what needs to be banned. Wizards, if you wanna ask me, I can tell you right now this card needs to be banned. Just get rid of it. It is a stain on the format and invalidates so many decks, similar to what Oko used to do when Brawl first was released. So I think I'm just going to go with Birth of Meletus here. It guarantees that I draw my lands a little bit more consistently. We also then thin the deck and increase the odds of finding Banishing Lights, which is really what we want here. Yeah, I don't think there's ever been a time when 5-color good stuff has been a good thing for Brawl. Like, ever. I am going to pass with Counter Magic backup, as far as our opponent is concerned. Land. Zagoth Crystal. Alright. Yeah, I wonder if there's like... No. I wonder if there's any precedent to say like... Ah, that's a good one. Should Brawl ever have 5-color commanders? Should they be banned immediately? Speaking from my personal experience, I really hated Niv Mizzet Reborn and for the longest time thought that should be banned. Should we hit that crystal here? It is their green mana. Probably, yeah. Let's hit that green mana. Yeah, I thought that should be banned. Once Niv Mizzet rotated out, it was just Kenneth for the longest time plaguing formats, and then when a Seeker got out, Seeker's the one plaguing formats. And Datha Crystal. There's another green source, we could probably hit that as well. Do I Skyclave Apparition it again with a Flicker of Fate, perhaps? I guess actually no, I probably want to do... Maybe Elspeth Conquers Death and then Flicker of Fate it. Yeah, maybe. They do have counter backup now. Yep. It's pretty bad. I guess maybe Flicker of Fate was better then. So now they go Prismatic Bridge and they win. It's about as simple as that. I just simply do not have an answer to the Prismatic Bridge now. So now they get to just dump their entire board state into play. I do get to go with Kiora Sea God though, so if I can keep that around, I can steal our opponent. Nope, never mind. I hate this deck so much. Wow. So now they minus on Kiora Sea God, invalidating my last turn. My deck's built to beat theirs, and I still can't draw the cards I need to beat them. So yeah, basically what it's going to do is it's just going to dump Planeswalkers and big boy creatures until I can't handle it anymore. Probably with counter backup at this point. I'd say that Flicker of Fate is probably the thing that killed me here, because if I can keep Elspeth Conquers Death around to Yorion, then at least I've got multiple answers to the Prismatic Bridge. There's just no... There's nothing I can do right now. I mean, what's the point in continuing, really? I can hit you, I suppose, and then I can do this on... I think blue's the the one I want? I don't actually know. I never checked. Usually I check with these kind of things, but here we are. Play Yorion. Flicker, Skyclave Apparition. It gives our opponent a 3/3, but I can take a crystal away from them or something. I don't even know if that's worthwhile. Probably not. It just gives him a blocker for that bad boy. Let's do this instead. Gives me untapped mana and a scry. That's kind of what we want, except for the fact that they don't really have to resolve anything anymore, because now they just get Ugin. Just so you know, this is basically random, but... Alright, now they just -5, and my entire board goes away, thus invalidating my entire game plan, and I'm very upset. I guess maybe they can't do a complete -5. Yeah, they can do a -3. What does this even do? It gets rid of the Skyclave Apparition? Is that really it? Do I want to flicker the Skyclave Apparition now? I guess it gets rid of Omen of the Sea as well. I don't have a way of pulling it back from my graveyard, so let's sack it and scry, I guess. That's a card. Hope for us yet, maybe? Let's see if... Burning Rune Demon, alright. Grabs the best cards in their deck. Forces me to choose how I want to die. This is the card for the matchup. Non-land permanents in graveyards and libraries can't enter the battlefield. Prismatic Bridge stops working. But if Burning Rune Demon just gets anything remotely good, we're probably going to lose to that instead. Like, I don't have a good answer now to kill Ugin, so he's going to tick up and lose me the game. Yeah, I mean, those are good enough. Put the chosen card into your hand. Have a counterspell. So now, Weathered Runestone. Saw it coming back up, and then I lose. Anyway. Boop. Alright. Now what? Pass the turn. Bridge fails. It was going to be a Thorn Mammoth. Cinderclasm's in here as well. Kogla can kill Weathered Runestone. It took them all but, what, 1 second to find the perfect answer. I guess I should actually flicker the Runestone so they don't have an answer to it. But, I mean, Kogla on board is already their answer. I need Shatter the Sky now. Oh, jeez, Thirst. Sure. Whatever. Oh, God. I think... This is officially my last standard Brawl video, chat, until the Seeker gets banned. I'm pretty sure. It's like, just what's the point? If Wizards aren't going to ban it and they're not going to give us Historic Brawl, then I'm just going to have to play Historic Brawl with viewers occasionally and draw lands and lose, so... Yeah, alright, well, let's keep going to the next game. Let's just never play against the Seeker ever again. Alright, opponent goes first. They are Heliod Suncrowned. And maybe they'll have some enchantments for Mirror Maid to work on. It sounds not great, honestly, but I don't think it's a mole, though. I don't know. We do get a free mole, technically. I just don't want to have a really awful 7-card hand. I'm just paranoid about that. Flicker of Fate. Okay. Put this into play tapped. Get a feeling I'm going to need to do that. And see where our opponent wants to go from here. And passes. Okay, so we go Plains, we go Arcane Signet. Try and get to our big boy plays nice and early. If we can ECD Heliod and then flicker ECD with Yorion the turn after, that'd be quite nice. So let's play a land. I think I'm just mirror maiding the Arcane Signet, honestly. I think I just want to maximize my mana here. Maybe if I can get like an early Amiria's Call, that's pressure enough for our opponent. Impassioned Orator. Okay. A 2 mana currently doing nothing. Bolts for 3. Charming Prince. Okay. Enters, gains some life, and looks like they gain life again, yeah. So 2 life gain triggers. So they've got bodies on board. They're going to go wide as well, which doesn't exactly play well with my Yorion. And yeah, we're going to pass. Curabes's Sea God is a fine card. Let's get rid of Heliod now. I kind of want them just to go land Heliod, so I can go Yorion, flicker, ECD. And then at least I get some use out of that. If I drew a land without having to use my Amiria's Call, I also get to Yorion with flicker in case our opponent has like a Banishing Light. Angel of Vitality, gaze 2. And then swings on in. So they want to play around Yorion ECD. Which is, you know, it's entirely up to them if they want to try and do that. This is the right one to be flickering. We're going to flicker that, flicker that. This allows me to hold open 2 mana for Flicker of Fate on end step. I'm going to keep Amiria's Call. I think I actually want that value. Hit the Angel of Vitality here. And then we've got Flicker of Fate, so we could do a block and flicker on Yorion if we want to, or we could just straight up flicker the Elspeth Conquers Death. Heliod's Punishment. Okay. He's just going to sit there for a little while. I mean, I could flicker him right now, and yeah, I think I might do that. Flicker him now. Take that Heliod's Punishment off. Flicker you and you. Mostly because I can. Block the Orator, which is enabling their deck. Bring some stuff back. Doesn't do anything anyway, but here we are. So we're on 4, 5, 6 mana right now. I mean, I could play Shark Typhoon. I think you gotta just play Curabes's Sea God, though, right? Let's play that bad boy, get an 8/8 that they can't interact with, and then get smashing. Yeah. I think they're too far behind now. And they agree, of course. Yeah, a bit of a weird one. I don't know if some of our sequencing was maybe not ideal. We could have taken less damage, I think. With some alternative lines of play, but being on 13 is a fine place to stabilize as a blue-white control list, so wasn't too bad. And yeah, we do eventually start to lose our Elspeth Conquers Death, but I guess if Heliod ever became a creature, Glass Casket's open to kill him again. Got Shark Typhoon, which can be a nice blocking creature and a threat for our opponent. Maze Mind Tome to draw into more Heliod answers. And we also have a steal on the Chapter 3 as well, so we can nick our opponent's lands, maybe if they're in actually a little bit of a mana screw kind of situation. Certainly take advantage of that and grab an Arden Veil, maybe. But yeah, Pretty good. So let's go for another game. Ooh-wee, we're in, and this hand's... it's fine. It's got a Weathered Runestone in it, which I don't think is going to be at all relevant, maybe. I don't know. I guess Reanimation's potentially a thing from our opponent's deck. I don't know, though. Either way, we're going to keep this one, because Signets and Sort Cummings are pretty good. We're on the play as well, so... nice, good start for us. We'll go with a Command Tower to lead, and let's talk about our opponent's commander. They are playing Grunk, the Cursed Huntsman. A commander we've played actually in Standard I found to be quite mediocre in today's Standard Brawl climate. 6 mana, 5 loyalty. You can pay 0 to create 2/2 black and green wolf creature tokens with the ability of whenever this creature dies, put a loyalty counter on each Grunk you control. -3 allows you to destroy target creature and draw a card. -6 gives you an emblem with creatures you control, get +3/+3 and trample, sorry. They've got a Gilded Goose. I'm going to go with my Arcane Signet and match their ramp. We do have an Alrund's Epiphany, so an extra turn with maybe a Dream Trawler in play might be quite nice. It's going to be hard for them to deal with that as well, since it has this absolute BS ability of being able to defend itself at all times. And... let's see. So what we could do here... they've just made creatures uncounterable, right? Creature enchantments are uncounterable. I could Glasspool Mimic... no, I cannot. Never mind. I can... foretell both my cards. Or hold up and counter magic. I feel like I'm not really going to need to counter anything here. So let's foretell both my cards. The turn after, maybe, so the Sort Coming being in the foretell zone, being cheaper, might be a lot better. Yeah, see, that's uncounterable, so... don't have to worry too much about that. Disdainful Stroke. So, let's go with Glasspool Mimic here. Play this Weathered Runestone. I doubt it's useful, but... might as well, right? Might as well. And then we're at 4/5 mana. If we get one land, we get a Alrund's Epiphany, I suppose. Maybe even Dream Trawler, actually, with a land. Undoes the Questing Beast damage, which we can survive another hit of. And starts drawing me cards. Well, we got none of that. I think... well... yeah, I'm just mana screwed. I am simply mana screwed, I think. I was gonna go Yorion, but they just go land into Grook, so... yeah, here's where I have to go with the Sort Coming. I'm leaving the Disdainful Stroke in my hand for Dream Trawler. So if I'd have gotten Yorion there, I'd have been mega punished. We're at 7. We get to go with Dream Trawler here, and we have to hope that it survives. If it survives, we can get in a couple of hits with the Alrund's Epiphany, giving us an extra turn, some extra card draw. It's maybe enough to survive. We've got double protection. Grasp of Darkness. Yeah, sure. Doesn't kill Dream Trawler. We can still take the damage here and block if we have to. So we take 6, go to 1. Pump spells aren't really a thing. Just a hard cast Dirgebat. Alright. So, +1. We're up to attacking with 6 here, so let's get in. See if our opponent chooses to block here, otherwise we're going up to 7, which is a nice place to be. Opponent's fine with that, so we take an extra turn and do it again. Are we playing the land? 4, 5, 6. We can hard cast it if we draw a land off the top. Otherwise, 1, 2, 3, 4. Otherwise, we can do Yorion Golden Egg if I play that. Play the land. I think I'm going to make my land drop, so... Faith's Fetters is good for questing beast. So let's get in again. Yeah, this is working out quite nicely. Opponent blocks. I think the line here is Yorion, Hold Up, and Disdainful Stroke. Because we can... would we have saved some mana here? Would that have been... It wouldn't have changed much, I don't think, but we could have tapped the Arcane Signet and then flickered it. It allows us to pretend we're holding up more than we are, but... Yeah, I think we hold up and Disdainful Stroke here. We name blue. I think blue is the right name for Heraldic Banner because of the tokens. And I'm pretty sure most of our creatures are blue anyway. The ones that matter, at least. Alright, so they're going to search for a card. Hopefully it's not something they can cast right now, because if they can cast it right now, very likely means that Disdainful Stroke is not going to be useful on it. What could it be? What is a hard counter to our deck? Extinction Event, maybe? Umori. It can't be countered because of Destiny Spinner. Is that what you fetched? A name Planeswalker. And gets him for 4. I'm not really fussed about blocking here. I swing back for so much more and gain life at the same time. So, my turn. So this is 6, 5, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. We're 1 point short, I think. Only does it to tapped creatures. 1 point short. I don't think we can make that happen. That's if I face Fet as the Dirge Bat and get in with everything. Create shard tokens. We can use those to draw. But they cost me too much. I think we just get in, get in. Opponent will chump, yeah. I need to make sure that I have counter magic open, because I think our opponent's just going to play Grunk, and if they do, we'll just win on the spot. As long as we've got that Disdainful Stroke open. I just don't know what they could have here that makes a difference. I guess I'll Faith's Fetters the Questing Beast. Go up to 19 and pass. So you are 6, you're 5. So an Extinction Event on even can be Disdainful Stroked, but if it resolved, it would keep our opponent in the game by getting rid of 3 of our creatures here. Shadow's Verdict doesn't do it. There isn't a Witch's Vengeance or anything like that. Game-ruining Ugin hits the field and punished. So that's what they went for the Grim Tutor on. Yeah. Even though Ugin the Spirit Dragon would cleanly sweep their entire board, it was still the best option for a Grim Tutor. Even though it would completely sweep everything they've done, it still puts this game in their favor if that resolves. How stupid of a card. This has just become an Ugin rant video today. I do apologize about that, but, you know. It just blows my mind that this is still legal in this format. That and a Seeker. But anyway, we're going to leave it off here today, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed. It turns out that this is not so much the Seeker killing combo that I thought it was, or at least in the game we played anyway, it just didn't seem like it did anything. Our opponent just had a perfect answer to Weathered Runestone. So if you were to play this deck, I would suggest not playing against the Seeker by principle, and just removing this card, because I think this is only useful against that matchup. So even though a Seeker is like 75% of your matchups in Brawl Standard right now, if you just don't play them, then you don't need this card. So yeah, do as I do, which is never play against the Seeker ever again. I think that's the plan. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video anyway. If you did, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. And I'm going to leave it off here. Hopefully you guys have a wonderful night. Take care, and ta-ra.